Going on, Russell Wayne and the Main Event 365 Network. This is Jason Kabenda from the Detroit Lions, here to give y'all a shout out, man. We appreciate all the support, man. I know you guys are big fans. Know that you guys are rooting for us to take the North this year, and we're going to do just that, man. Appreciate you guys so much. Just want to give y'all a shout out. Y'all have a great day.
It's the Main Event 365, and it's time for the NFC North Open Mic, and we want to introduce everybody, but before we do, ladies and gentlemen, it's our host. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. It's the master of disaster. It's the king of Sting, the Count of Monte Frisco, the one, the only Main Event Mike.
Oh, man, I got to be late more often. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. It's the NFC North Open Mic Night, where we're talking about the NFC North. All four teams in the NFC North fan bases are represented. So put your comment in below and put in a question or just put in an insult. Put in your take. Don't worry if you think it's a bad take. We already know it's a bad take. This is the home of bad takes. That's why we have so many Bears on the panel today. Today we have Mike, the Bear fan. How are you, Mike?
Doing well.
And a man who usually has a good take, Mr. Kendobi. It just takes a long time to get to the end. How are you, Ken?
All good things to those who wait.
Yes, sir. And we appreciate both of you being here today. We also have from the Florida Tribune, it's Jeremy Ballreich from Smoking Jeremy B podcast. How are you, Jeremy?
Doing fantastic. How are you gentlemen today?
Awesome. And, of course, the maestro, Russell Wayne, the man behind the curtain. What's shaking at the main event today, Russell?
What is shaking at the main event? Well, we have we got Bear fans on here today. The Vikings are in witness protection. And, we're trying to figure out there. I mean, we're trying to figure out who done it. But, yeah, they're looking like they're going to be on the bottom. But we do have Carrie. Carrie from the Skull Vikings chimes in. Thank you for chiming in and getting behind that. I don't know what happened there on the offseason in both of your draft picks.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie, for commenting. And, I'm sorry that none of your brethren fan base are going to come on here and get a piece tonight of the open mic night. So we're going to go hard on your team, though, Carrie. So be sure to retaliate if you feel that it's necessary. So, like, the Evil Empire's not here tonight. The Purple Skittle Eaters are not here tonight. So they are now going to be the targets. And this guy, Jordan Love, boy, I hope this guy stinks. Don't you? Don't you hope this guy? I mean, there's no way they're going to come up with 3 future Hall of Famers in a row. It's just statistically not possible. And they are so hyped about this guy. I mean, they're letting a Hall of Famer walk out the door, but he's got 60 pass attempts in the NFL. I'm scared. Jeremy Ballreich, what do you think Jordan Love's going to be?
The great unknown there in Packerville. What do you expect?
If we don't have an answer, we'll go to the Bear fan.
Yeah,
Mike,
no.
What do you think it's going to be?
I agree with Jeremy. It's the unknown. They got a lot of hype up.
All right, Ken Dopey, give me a take.
Yeah,
Side of the
look
fence.
You guys got 60 snaps and they're giving him $22.5 million extension.
Thank you.
Where can I sign up for that, please?
Thank you.
60 snaps, $22.5 million. Are they? Look, it's Wisconsin. I know they're cranking out the crank, but they got to stop smoking their product. No, look, I'll be nice to the evil empire. I mean, because no one's here to defend them because they're all like hiding under a rock after this. What else were they going to do? You ran Aaron Rodgers out of town. You got to pay someone. Hey, here's a guy who took 60 snaps that we wasted a first-round pick on 3 or 4 years ago. Let's give him $22.5 million. Hey, you know what? I know a guy with a really elongated neck who would love that kind of money.
Well, I'll tell you, this Jordan Love guy comes out of that quarterback factory known as Utah State. So, I'm sure he's going to be amazing. And in 15 years, they'll run him out of town and trade him to the Jets. So Russell Wayne, what do you think? I mean, are we going to love it if this guy stinks? Obviously, he's the unknown, guys, and he could be great. But what do you think's going to happen here?
I think that Green Bay just showed that they don't have any confidence in him by extending him for a year. Because if you look at the inside of that contract, there's only $13.5 million that's guaranteed into that thing. So that's a hell of a lot cheaper than to take a 5th-year option and pay $20 million. So that was a definite sign of we don't trust Jordan Love in the next regime if I've ever seen it before in my life.
Right, and
it's also
go ahead, Ken.
Hey, I was gonna say, and it's also a good cover up for them because I mean, I'll give the Packers some credit. When they drafted Love, he was to be the replacement, but the problem was they drafted him 2 years too early. Like the idea was draft him 1 to 2 years behind Rodgers and go. It took them too long, so they blew their wad way too early. And this is their way to hedge their bets and cover their asses in case he does suck, which he probably will.
Right, and I think Russell Wayne made a great point there that they didn't. I mean, it's all smoke talking about. Why do you think we're letting Rodgers go? Because we see how great he is. Well, when it came time to pay him, we saw how great you think he is, and I think the rest of the league went, maybe they will. And these receivers are young. Jeremy Ballreich, are you scared of the Green Bay Packers with Jordan Love?
Why? We weren't scared of him with Aaron Rodgers. We went 3-1 with Dan Campbell coaching the Lions against him.
Right. And that's like one of our commenters just said, that we're all terrified that he'll be good. And who was that? Terry that said that? You know what?
That's Miles.
Miles, you know what, Miles? I'm going to own up. I'm going to own some of that. You're damn right. I've been owned by the Green Bay Packers. My team has been owned by you for years. And now we're going to step on your throat for a while. Unless this guy's good. So, yeah, that is scary. Yes, I'm terrified of that. I'm also terrified that Justin Fields is going to learn how to throw a football. Because if that happens, we're really in trouble. So let's shift over to those Chicago Bears right now. Russell Wayne?
Yeah, well, I definitely want to respond to that. I'm not terrified that he'll be good. All I'm saying is that the contract that they just signed him to makes it so that Green Bay is terrified that he'll be bad.
Okay. I mean, Mike the Bear fan, are you scared? Are you scared of the Green Bay Packers with Jordan Love, Mike the Bear fan?
No, because last year they were the highest team in the league with drop passes. So with a whole new quarterback, 2 new tight ends, their offense don't scare me really.
Right. You've got a guy who's essentially a rookie. I mean, snap-wise, he's pretty much a rookie. So I'm not scared of him at all. Ken Dobie, what do you think? You scared of the Packers with Jordan Love?
No, I mean, look, the only thing Jordan Love's got going for him is, okay, he knows the offensive playbook down cold, and he should after sitting there for 3 freaking years. If he doesn't know the playbook by now, he should be fired. So, but when I look at the receiving core, yeah, they're young.
Hold on. In fairness to Justin Field, he had to learn a new system last year. So this will actually be the second year in the same system. So let's be clear on that.
No. I'm Jordan Love's, though. He's had 3 years in this offense.
Oh, Jordan Love. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Fields. Yeah. This will be
his third year. This will be
his third year. So Jordan Love should know this offense. He should know the system. That's an advantage. That's not the only advantage he has, though, because he still hasn't been able to slow the game up like we all hear, right? How the game slows, because he's, like you said, essentially a rookie. He's got a young receiving core, young tight end. He's got offensive line problems. Maybe Bakhtiari traded, not traded, who knows? That might be. He's got a good running game. That's his go-to, is his running game. So am I afraid of like the Packers beating us with the pass? Like Aaron Rodgers would always find that guy wide open out in the middle of nowhere? No, that's gone. It's history. Bye-bye. It's out the door. So Jordan Love does not scare anyone in this division except for Kirk Cousins. And that's because Minnesota sucks.
So we got William in here. I definitely he definitely believes that Jordan Love is going to be good. Christian Watson is the biggest super freak receiver in the entire NFL. And who's going to cover Watson? Wow. I mean, that's
you're going to find it's a lot different when Aaron Rodgers is not throwing you the ball.
when he improves his 16% drop rate, that's when I'll be scared of him downfield.
That was primarily in the beginning of the season, Jeremy.
I don't care. It's still going to make a difference because it's a different QB throwing.
Well, then we can't talk about what the Lions did 8 out of 10 games down the stretch either.
We really don't know what he is going to do.
The offense was good the entire year.
So right now I have a link that I'm going to go ahead and throw into all of these little spots right here. So if you guys want to jump onto the show and you want to debate us, I mean, I'd love to argue with you from within the comments and everything like that, but I'm just not going to do that. So, I mean, we have a platform here that you can come on, and if you want to hop onto the show and you can
just call it debating. Are we debating?
I guess we're debating. Well, I was debating this guy through the comments, and that's okay. I mean, I want you guys to ask questions, and I want you guys to disagree with us and all that stuff.
Ken's the master debater.
He's the master debater. So, William, you are more than welcome to come on to the show, man. We'd love to have you on and talk some football. And right now, we are talking about Jordan Love, right? All you need is love, right, Mike? All you need is love. Love is all you need, right?
No, I think it's going to be tough for Green Bay, but like we're saying, the kid could be great, and if he is, then Green Bay is going to be tough again. There hasn't been really a rest from it since Lynn Dickey or Don Majkowski was the quarterback. From the threat of Green Bay. The threat of Green Bay has been there all these years. So this is the best I felt about it. My team, the Lions, have never been stronger than they are now. We talked about it on our program a little while ago, and we were talking about the offense and the offense of the Detroit Lions. I know that these Bear fans on here are practical, and they know that the strides their teammates, but the Lions are the odds-on favorite to win the North. And I just wanted to make sure I said that. What's our next topic?
It almost seems like that you shouldn't say it, like you're saying false stuff, but you know, I got a nice little picture here of all 4 of these GMs, and I just kind of wanted to go over our GMs and just send it around, Mike, and see how everybody is feeling about their current GM. And
I feel like these. Can you put those pictures up again, Russ?
Put it up, and I want to make a comment.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
First one and third one been swindled by the second one.
Yeah. I will say that the expressions on their faces of these 4 gentlemen is kind of representative of how the drafts went. Aren't they? I mean, it's kind of
Come
like
on, go
like
over it.
Goose looks.
Right,
Goose
Mike,
looks
I wanna
confident,
hear
but
this.
knows it's not real.
The Vikings
Quezzy
guy
looks
there.
Quezzy. Now I know why he's called Quezzy. He looks Quezzy.
Yeah,
You know,
Quezzy.
Quezzy looks like the guy that overtook Captain Phillips' boat.
No, I got it. You know who that is? That's that young guy at prom getting it the first time. He's just happy to be there.
Oh my God.
Hey, Poles is just giving you that poker face like you think you know.
We'd like to have a
You
moment of
think
silence
you-
for the Minnesota Vikings. And, dearly beloved, they went into witness protection and they never came out again. So
I love that skull means cheers. That's one of my favorite things in the world. That here they are, cheers.
And Green Bay will be joining them in witness protection, it looks like, pretty soon.
Oh, wait, he's talking about Jaden Reed, a guy that was projected as a 5th or 6th round pick.
I don't care. That
The
kid
day
can
before
play.
the draft. I don't care
I
if
don't
he
care.
can play. I know where he was projected to be. And if you go by that, that's a bigger reach than anybody else in the draft.
Yeah, but as we discovered covering the draft, all 18 hours we were on podcast, those projections mean about as much as, put it this way, you can take your projections, in $8 and go get an $8 cup of coffee. That's how much value those projections
I
have.
understand that. But what I'm saying is everybody's griping because the Lions took Gibbs in the first round, that was the biggest reach. If you want to talk about the biggest reach statistically, it was Jaden Reed in the 6th round because he was supposed to be a late 5th, early 6th rounder.
Well,
I don't care.
You're not
Jaden
wrong,
Reed's a
but
good player, and I think he's going to be a great addition, late round steal, especially for that team. I think it's going to be a great fit there. I think Lucas Van Ness is a beast also.
I didn't say Lucas Van Ness wasn't good. That's
I know,
not what
and I
was
also
getting at.
like another pick. The Carl Brooks kid from Bowling Green is a guy that Russ and I did a profile on him. We looked into him, and this kid's going to be a good pick as well. So I think Green Bay had a decent draft. I think Chicago had a better draft than they did. I also think the Lions had the best draft of all. That's just my opinion. But these Minnesota Vikings, we're not scared of Minnesota Vikings. I want to hear what the people out there in the gallery, this is open mic night. What do you think? Put it in the comments. Let us know. Get over and follow us at our Facebook page. Like us, subscribe us. You can share this video. Help us out. Let's keep this content going. So I don't got to work 3 jobs to keep Russell Wayne going.
I got a question. I got a question for you, main event, Mike. What year did you graduate high school?
87.
87. Okay, and Russell, how about you?
93.
So you were still in high school the last time the Lions won a playoff game.
Yes.
And one of the only teams not to ever make a Super Bowl.
Correct.
It was funny. I saw an article this week that's like, I just thought of you guys. So the last time the Lions won a playoff game, no one on the current roster had even been born yet.
Right.
I mean, it's almost reminiscent. It's almost reminiscent of the. It's almost reminiscent. Oh my God! Here we go. It's almost reminiscent of the Cubs in the World Series, right? Except obviously it's not 108 years. It's like 30 years, 32, well, 31, 32 years. I'm just wondering if this is the year you're actually going to finally win a playoff game. And if you win that playoff game, does that mean there's going to be a new banner at Ford Field?
Well, I don't know. It's going to get kind of crowded with, after week 18 of last year, we got that banner to put up. And then we've got the one right next to it that says knock the Packers out of the playoffs. We got that banner to put up. 5-1 in the division.
You got the 0-16.
I don't know. There's probably no room.
Finished 8-2 down the stretch
but
banner.
we'll take what we can get in Ford Field because we have not.
0-16.
Historically a good franchise. And if we're going to get into a debate about who has the best history, then the Green Bay Packers are going to win that argument in this format. But if you're looking ahead to next year, we are the ones that are hooked on hopium this year.
Our whole division is hooked on hopium.
I'm just finding it funny that you're trying to rip on a guy that keeps a paper bag in his desk drawer. just in case the next scandal
Jeremy,
comes
you're
out.
wrong.
And
Not
by the way,
everybody's
here's
hooked
an
on
interesting
opium.
tidbit for you. Here's an interesting tidbit.
That's
There's
exactly
no hope
No.
there, Jeremy. You're wrong.
This-
You're wrong, Jeremy. They are not hooked
I
on
guess
opium. They're clean. They're completely
So
clean.
this is the biggest.
They're off the stuff.
Well, back to Jeremy, how they said they reached on a running back. I just personally thought you guys drafted him a little soon. You set the bar real high for Gibbs, and it kind of weird when you got Montgomery when you just signed him to be the top back.
We signed him to replace Jamal Williams. He wasn't going to be the top back.
But for the first pick,
I understand what you're saying.
Actually, I
And
like their first
Brad
pick, though,
Holmes-
Mike.
bad in any
Hey, you
way.
know what I got to say about that? Brad Holmes does not give a fuck.
Right.
I
Well,
mean, look, that first,
they
it was an immediate
they were gonna
impact.
They knew they were going to deal Swift. We didn't know, but they knew they were going to deal Swift. And when you think of it that way, the Gibbs pick makes more sense. Go ahead, Jeremy. You're raising your
2
hand.
weeks prior to the draft, I said we were trading Swift.
Oh, that's right. You're that guy. I forgot.
And I said,
I said, remember what I said? I was right. I called this. Remember, I said this.
yeah, until the
You're
report
right,
came out when
Jerry.
Swift
You're
said,
right.
yeah, but then there's a
You're
report
right.
where, but then there's the actual report where Swift goes, I saw the draft pick, so the next day that night, I marched in the war room and demanded a trade. So I don't know if he planned it, because Swift is like, trade me. The second that, and look, it's a great pick for the Lions, immediate impact.
I
Swift
said
walked
you
in and
and
said,
I didn't
trade
know,
me.
and he
I said-
didn't know.
I
But
said on
Brad
this
Holmes
show.
knew, and I'll tell you why, because there was an interview with him before the draft, and they asked about DeAndre Swift, and he said, "Well, he's a Lion. He's on our team." That was his answer,
Yeah,
and it hinted to the fact that we all knew he was gonna go. Even Jeremy Ballwright called that, so Stevie Wonder could have saw that coming.
I
But-
saw he was on the trade block in a report on NFL.com 2 weeks prior to the draft, and everyone called me crazy. I said, you watch, he'll be traded in the draft.
Well, you're smarter
on.
than we are. I mean, we're just a bunch of knuckleheads with a podcast. We love talking football, but we're usually wrong.
Right.
Can I read this comment right here? Let me read this comment right here because I know.
Hold
That's
on, let
exactly
me plug
what it
Jeremy
was.
one time first. So that's Jeremy Ballrick. He's usually right. And you can see him over at the Jeremy Ballrick show, which is going to be when, Jeremy?
That is Wednesday night actually, I'm skipping this Wednesday. It'll be Friday. This Friday.
Friday.
The
Okay.
Lions fan cave chat.
If you want to
And then
see,
every 2 weeks-
someone be right, go watch Jeremy's podcast because he's like Greco-Roman Olympic wrestling. This is the WWE.
Yeah.
This is NFC North Open Mic Night. So we're okay to be wrong here, my friend. This is the home of bad takes.
No, I
The
like
home
being
of
right, though.
Bad takes. All right.
It's fun.
So
Go ahead,
William-
Russ, read that comment.
Well, William's been in the comments and been a really big part of this show right here. Says Gibbs was drafted to be a weapon, and they're going to line him up all over the place. And I say this: Ben Johnson is an absolute killer in the schemes and play calling. Glad that he'll be gone in a year. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you, William. And Ben Johnson just got a nice shiny new toy. I mean, it may have been a reach. Maybe they overdrafted him. I can subscribe to that or not subscribe to that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter now. The
He's
draft
lying.
picks when it doesn't matter anymore. There are players on our team. And the player, Jahmyr Gibbs, is a nice shiny toy that Ben Johnson's going, excellent. I'm going to take over the world with. I mean, I know that he loves that toy. You know he loves that toy. Even Ken Doby knows he loves that toy. Come
So
on. Ken.
you're calling him Mr. Burns now?
Excellent. That's Ben Johnson. Excellent.
Hey, I'll tell you what was the best pick in the draft for the Lions because it made every call girl on 6 Mile happy was Hendon Hooker because now they can finally buy a jersey they're proud to wear on their back.
Oh, come on. I am dead right there. You just broke the internet right
Hey,
there,
Ruffalo,
Jeremy.
you see the lobby?
Oh,
Look in the
Oh,
lobby.
my gosh.
Wow.
Come on.
I've just realized I am going to go buy a lot of 300 Hendon Hooker jerseys and drive down there and open up the back of the car.
And sell them for twice as much. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
make some
Ooh,
money.
look at him. John Dorn with a hot take. Ben Johnson will be the Lions' new head coach 2024. Book it.
He'll be a head coach somewhere. just
Again,
not for the
home
Lions.
of the bad take. That's terrible takes with John Dorn. That's coming in the fall. We also have a new guest on the program. He's a Packer fan. Finally, somebody to represent the Green and Gold Empire. This is A-Dub. Welcome to the program, A-Dub.
What's up?
Hey, A-Dub.
What's going on?
So we're over here trashing your boy Jordan Love. We're over here trashing your team because there was no one here to defend him, and I'm glad that you did come in to defend. I'm sure there was a big green G in the sky, like the bat signal, and somebody had to come in here to defend it. So, what are you guys going to do if Jordan Love stinks?
If he stinks, then the only objective is just moving on to someone else. I mean, the contract itself was just a matter of making sure.
You think he's going to stink?
Yeah, the contract itself we put up just a matter of making sure.
Do you think he's going to stink, A-Dub?
Do I think he will? Honestly, if I were to be honest, I'd say it's up in the air for me. He could be good.
Damn it, you had to go find the one level-headed Packer fan. You found the one level-headed, out of all the Packer fans, you find the one who actually makes sense there, not every time, minus the delay. I'll get the delay. Love your delay. That makes us all think. But he's the only one who actually has something in the noggin because the rest of them are, woohoo! Good job, Russell.
That's Ken Dobie, the Bear fan. And we have a new panelist in here as well. It's Chad. Welcome to the program, Chad, repping the Lions.
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for being on the program. We're asking, what do you think the chances of Jordan Love being any good are?
Green Bay Packers, no quarterback. He scares me, okay? That's all I'm going to say. I don't know. Time will tell. And that's the truth.
Well, you're the second one. You're the second one on this panel to admit that we're scared of this kid being good.
He could be good. We don't know.
Right. They're letting a Hall of Famer walk out. That's what they're saying in the comments is that they're letting a Hall of Famer walk out. They wouldn't do that if he was a bum. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that, but go back in the history. They let another Hall of Famer walk out too, Brett Favre. So.
Because they knew the guy behind him was no bum.
So isn't that's the scary part though, is that they've done it twice. You know, they went from Favre to Rodgers, and now they're doing like it's like the same recipe. Lee Bruce is in the we got a new commenter in here. I just wanted to throw some of his stuff up here. And it looks like he believes in got Reed plus those two is unreal. He believes in Love here.
I think they got a talented young wide receiver core. I like the Jaden Reed pick. I know that somebody on this panel was ripping that pick, but I think we saw enough Michigan State games here to know that kid's a gamer always, and he's hell in the tunnel. They hope and pray he stinks, but they tripping hard, Lee says. Well, maybe we are tripping hard. I hope we're tripping hard because we swept the Packers last year, and they could not score on us. So our defense is only getting better. So if a Hall of Famer could hardly score on us, I don't like Jordan Love's chances either. Let's run the Minnesota Vikings through the mud for a while until one of their fans comes on. Mike the Bear fan, give us some good. Give us a reason why Minnesota has 10,000 lakes filled with Viking fan tears.
I don't know. Vikings are in trouble with that defense. That's all I'm going to say. They might have a decent offense, but that defense isn't going to stop anybody.
Right. Russ, if you could just put that picture of the GMs up again. I mean, when was the last time that we were having a serious discussion about general managers? These guys are rock stars now, right? I mean, they're high profile. They do so many things. And we are more familiar with their roles and what they do now. And it's really, they have their own personalities that, I was kind of oblivious to the last couple of years. What do you think about your GM, A-Dub? What's your opinion, A-Dub, about Brian Gutekunst?
Isn't it Gutenkirst?
Yeah.
I know there's a K-U-N-T in there.
Oh. He hasn't been able to say a word yet.
I have mixed feelings about him. Like, well, if I had to be honest, I got on him. Like, sometimes
about 3 to 5 second delay. All right,
I can enjoy it, sometimes I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just sometimes I like what he does, sometimes I don't.
Okay, Mike the Bear fan, tell me about Ryan Poles. What's your opinion of your GM?
I personally love what he's done. He's been making a lot of moves, like more moves than we're used to, but it's all the good moves. You know what I mean? Last draft, he got 3 starters out of the deal. He got at least another one this year. I think Stevenson takes over Vindel Kindor's spot. And then I think Noel Sewell, a brother off your team, 2 of them, a matter of fact.
We seem to like doing that.
If Sanborn goes down, I think he'll take his spot real good. He might even take his starting spot over.
Right, but I know, Mike, you've been a Bear fan for a long, long time. Do you ever remember being so invested in who your GM is and what he does?
I mean, I never really got into it because I was just sitting watching, just got into players, not so much inside, the organization as a GM.
Right. Well, all of us are like that. I just think it's interesting, and I'm trying to find somebody to give me an interesting take, but I forgot where I was for a minute. Ken Doby, tell me, do you think it's interesting that general managers have a high profile, and what do you think of yours?
I think they've always had a high profile. It's just that you're now paying attention, partially because we're doing the podcast. I know I paid attention back in the day here and there, but now that I'm more in tune because of what we do, I pay attention more than I used to. Kind of like echo Mike. 'Cause as a Bears fan, trust me, I've followed what some of our GMs have done in the past and draft picks. It's always been there. It's just that now we're more in tune with it. As far as what my current GM is doing. I like what he's doing. I kind of would say he's like the Theo Epstein for the NFL. Like when Theo came into Chicago with the Cubs, in Theo we trust. Now it's in Ryan Poles we trust. So I mean I like what he's doing. But the hard part is this: it takes 3 years to really evaluate a draft. He's had 1 year on one draft. 3 years from now, or after we win a Super Bowl, ask me. You know what I mean? Like after 1 or 2 years, it's really hard to say, oh yeah, this guy's done everything right. So far, it's looking good. I hope he stays on that trend. So I like what he's doing now. I like what he's doing post-draft, actually, a little bit more than what he's doing in the draft in some ways. He's finding good talent post-draft. We just got the kid from where is he, from Africa originally? Came via the England Combine in London. I like what he's done there. I mean, I like him overall, but GMs have always been a focal point that casual fans only look at when there's a glaring something. But people who really watch the game have always been in tune like
that. Let's correct Lee Bruce right there. They only averaged
Mike.
He fell asleep.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ken. Jeremy, what were you saying?
Lee Bruce said the Lions D averaged 38 points against that year. That was during the first first 8 games. At the end of the season, they ended up at 25.12. So there's a huge disparity between what you're saying and how they ended up. They weren't historically bad last year, like you think. So
they were for the first 8 games.
Yeah. They were for the first 8 games, and I admit that.
Oh, for
sure. I said that. But to improve from 38 points to 13 points, how good did they have to play the last 10 games? And I'll give you the exact stat. It was 14th in the league.
They only had to beat the 14th best defense. Or they played like the 14th best defense in the last 10 games, you're saying?
Yeah, to upgrade to 25.12.
Right, and they were 9-8 and missed the playoffs, but at least they had a winning record. And you're saying they did that with not just a bad defense, but a historically bad defense.
And all that changed was a defensive passing game coordinator.
Okay. Well, Amani Oruwariye is gone now.
Thank God.
So believe me, I'm going to take a fantasy quarterback out of the NFC East just so that they can go against him with the Giants. And that brings me to a conversation that I want to have about fantasy football. And I want to go around this panel and just give me a yes or no. And I'm a little thirsty, so I know A-Dub has a lag. I'll be able to get a drink. A-Dub, do you play fantasy football?
No, I don't. Honest, no.
You do not play fantasy football. Jeremy Ballreich, do you play fantasy football?
Yes, often.
Okay, how many leagues are you in?
Last year I was in 3.
Okay, Ken Doby, you play?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how many are you in?
Last year I was in 3. It's usually between 1 to 3 leagues a year.
Mike the Bear fan, do you do fantasy?
Sure do.
What's the name of
And
your
he
team?
loses to me.
What's the name of your team? The Mustache Mafia?
Not at all. Mike the Bear fan. I'm actually.
Okay. And I know Russell Wayne plays fantasy as well. I also play fantasy as well. And I find it interesting, and I'm gonna start with Ken Doby. Do you think fantasy football has any impact on the NFL in any capacity?
More so today than it did when I started playing in the 90s. It's so ingrained into the DNA now. Back when I started playing, late 90s, it wasn't this big thing, and even the early 2000s, it was there. But it's really changed the way people watch the game. It's changed the way some guys play the game. I think it is having an impact in a lot of ways. It does.
Yeah, for sure. I also agree with that. There are some people who say that's a bunch of hogwash. It has nothing to do. Russell Wayne, do you think fantasy football impacts the NFL?
Absolutely. I mean, it's almost evident. I mean, they've even had people that have reports of guys wanting to come on and off and getting angry that they're not getting certain touches because they want to hit these numbers in meaningless garbage time. So it's affecting, I don't know if it's affecting outcomes of games or anything like that, but it's definitely affecting behaviors within games.
But that's contract incentives. I need 100 catches to hit my bonus in my contract. Coach, throw me the ball. Not I need 5 more fantasy points to win my league. I mean, we're not hearing that. But you do have assistant coaches and things that are playing fantasy football, and they have some leverage in the coach's ear, and they might be using their influence to put Craig Reynolds in because I picked Craig Reynolds up as a flyer in a league or something. I'm just using that as it's a conversation earlier this year this week in the media, and I wanted to kick it around this panel. I also want to kick it out to our gallery. It's open mic night here on the NFC North Open Mic. Put in your comment. Do you think fantasy football influences the way these games are called, or how many touches a guy gets, or whether or not he runs out of bounds, or if he needs 1 or 2 more yards because he started himself in fantasy? Do you think any of that has any bearing on the game? Let us know. I'd be interested to hear what the gallery says because this is something that interests me. I want to move on to the next. Go ahead. I called on everyone, but if someone else had something to say, go ahead.
Hey, Mike. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Russell.
You just called the gallery out, so I wanted to read the gallery. So the Lions offense will take a step back last year when Ben Johnson becomes a head coach somewhere, and fantasy football is not affecting the game, but gambling in Vegas likely is.
Ooh, that's a good call out.
That's a good call out right
there.
That's
a good call out. The thing is that you can bet on fantasy also. So if that is affecting it in the same way, I mean, we're just painting it with a broader brush. That's all. So Jeremy Ballreich, did I ask you that question? Do you think there's an effect?
It affects players' attitudes. That's what it affects. It does not affect so much the play on the field as it does when you start getting to week 16 and somebody needs 32 catches to hit their bonus number, or they needed 250 yards, or they need 3 touchdowns. That's what it's going to affect. Or one guy that's on the cusp of getting his sack bonus. He needs 3 sacks in the last 3 games. He's going to say, Coach, don't pull me from this game. I got to get him now because I don't want to wait till the last game to get him.
Absolutely. And actually, you know, the biggest, I think the biggest impact fantasy has is more on the fan bases and the way we react to what the GMs do. Because, like, look, we get guys on our fantasy teams that may do well in fantasy. So if our GMs move them via trade or whatever, we get all mad. Or we see a guy who scores well in fantasy, we want our GMs to get them. I think it affects the fans' emotions and the way we want our GMs to do things. Like, Justin Fields could be a good example. He's last year he scored buku points in fantasy. He's projected to be one of the top fantasy scorers again this year. But but is that really the reality of what he's going to be on the field? No, I hope it is, because I hope the passing stuff works out with the better receiving core, et cetera, et cetera. But it affects the way the fans look at the players too, because, but he gives me massive numbers. He gives me massive numbers. We have to keep him. Why'd you let him go? And I think there have been people who've been traded. Yeah, you want to win the league. You want, if you're on DraftKings, or you want to win the money. That's where that betting thing. So some of these guys are great fantasy athletes. Tony Romo was a great fantasy quarterback. Never won anything in real life, but in fantasy, he won you leagues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. I remember being mad about Tony Romo because he'd have some stat line where he'd throw like 900 passes and he would be like, 350 for 900. And he'd throw 4 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. And I'd be like, how is this guy beating me? He actually made us change our fantasy football rule. We actually were doing a point per completion. And because of Tony Romo and how bad he would just all of these incompletions, we made it so it was negative half a point for an incompletion. So you get a point for a completion and a negative half a point for an incompletion, because I was so sick of Romo beating me with, like, they would get killed in the game. Like, he wasn't good.
Right. I mean, Justin Fields had a lot of rushing yards, but in my league, interceptions cost points. So it was kind of a give and take with him. But yeah, fantasy, I love fantasy. And where I'm going with this, guys, is the connection between these last 2 topics. I think that it contributes to the way we see these GMs now. We have a more appreciation for the general manager and what he does. And we really see the dichotomy of it and how it's all put together. And we begin to recognize that Matt Millen is an idiot. And we start to recognize that Brad Holmes is a genius. And in our case of our team of the Detroit Lions, I point to Brad Holmes as the number 1 determining factor to turning this franchise around. We had a winning record last year, guys. That's big for us as Lions fans, okay? There is a turnaround. There has been a culture shift. And we can point directly to Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, and Sheila Ford for why that's happening. Yes, the players are the ones that play the games, but it's just like any business that starts at the top down. And I find it super interesting. And I think that fantasy kind of gives us a little bit of a glimpse into that world. If you'd like to get a glimpse into our world, how can you help us here at the Main Event? You can share this content. Go over to our Facebook page, hit the share button, share it somewhere. That really helps us out. Or there's a Patreon link in the comments below. We are coming up on it, so I want to talk about the single best draft pick in the draft, in the division, your opinion. Put it in the comments. Which team had the single best draft pick? And I am not going to pick a Detroit Lion. I'll tell you that right now. So we will start with the president of the Jack Campbell fan club, Mr. Russell Wayne. And tell me, Russell Wayne, who had the best pick in the NFC North, one single guy of all 4 teams? What was the best pick? What will turn out to be the best pick?
Well, I mean, I love how you put my answers in my introduction. I
want you to surprise me.
Well, I'm not going to be able to surprise anybody because my pick is Jack Campbell. I think Jack Campbell is going to be the middle linebacker for the Detroit Lions for the next 10 years. He's going to go through an extension that I think that is the type of guy that we've been looking for all along. And his measurables from his leadership, from everything that he needs to be, he is that guy from a leadership standpoint. His players talked glowingly about him. And it's like, this guy was drafted to be our middle linebacker. I mean, and that's exactly what he's going to be. And I think he's going to play at a high level. 6'4", 250 pounds, and he runs like a guy that's 20 pounds lighter than that. And he's electric when the ball gets in his hands once he gets the turnover. He actually has ball skills. So I think he's going to be a special player, Mike. Mike the Bear fan, Jeremy, A-Dub. I like Jack Campbell. No offense to any of the other players. There was a lot of other great players taken, but I think Jack Campbell is that guy.
If you got to pick one player, Ken Doby, who do you think is the best single player drafted in the North? Who's going to go on to be a Hall of Famer?
Ooh.
Well, I'm going to take a different tact. I want to say and you might not see it on the field initially, but Roshan, Bijan's backup, as he's now being known by everyone. Oh, he's just Bijan. I saw some articles on him this week after rookie camp that the kid, like, whenever left practice and they didn't throw away their water bottles, he just started picking up water bottles and squaring the room away. It's just like everything about this kid just screams leadership, locker room. He's just what you want your players to be. He was we got him the 5th, 6th round. We got him late, I think, or 4th round. He is going to be the steal for us. You might not see the impact on the field immediately, but I think it's all the other things he brings, his leadership qualities, his commitment to the excellence. I think he's quietly the steal of the draft, and that guy who's going to have the longevity.
Okay, so you think that Roshan Johnson is going to have a better career than your number one pick? Your Darnell Wright could be your anchor left tackle for 15 years and make it into Canton. You're going to pick the late round linebacker, or
like I said, I was going to take like I said, I'm taking a little.
All right,
taking a different tack. A little bit of a different tack.
All right, A-Dub, let's hear it. What's the best pick in the North in this year's draft? Say Jahmyr Gibbs.
I wouldn't even think that. Well, if I'm going to be honest for me, as far as mine goes, I go with Luke Musgrave.
Luke Musgrave. That's all right. The tight end from Oregon State could be the next Travis Kelce. Could be the next Mark Andrews. Right? He's got the skill set. There were some really good tight ends on the board when the Packers took him. So I think I love that call out. Jeremy B., we saved you for last. Best pick in this draft from the North.
From the North, and I'm not going to pick a Lion. It's actually a 4th rounder that I love that the Packers took.
Okay.
Colby Wooden, the edge guy out of Auburn, who can also play inside. The kid has a motor that doesn't quit. I like him. He has decent hand pop. He can play inside or out. It's a great replacement for guys they've been losing.
Right. Okay, I like that take. For me, I absolutely lied. I also think it's Jack Campbell. It's the Detroit Lions. I'm absolutely going to pick the Detroit Lions. I agree. Russell Wayne has convinced me that we should just get the gold jacket out right now for this guy. He's got all the traits. He's got everything you want. He oozes leadership, and his faith in God is strong, which is something I can get behind. Right. He just checks all the boxes of a can't-miss guy. I'm sorry, Minnesota's not even in this conversation. I love the Jaden Reed pick, but he's a number 3 receiver. He's going to be a great number 3 receiver, I predict. Lucas Van Ness, I just don't know enough about him to say, but I've done research on this Jack Campbell guy, and I agree with you, Russ. This guy's going to be the steal of this pick. We're going to always look back and refer to this draft as the Jack Campbell draft.
So, Mike, let me address this real quick right here. It says, bro, what? Malcolm Rodriguez is their middle linebacker, and he's a monster. Campbell is going to be a Sam. I'm sorry, William, but you are wrong on this. They drafted Jack Campbell to be in the center of this defense. There was no question about that. Malcolm Rodriguez is just going to be a backup. That's how good Jack Campbell is, as much as a monster. And I agree with you. I agree with you. Malcolm Rodriguez is a monster, and a monster in any. I mean, if they did a redraft, he would have been picked like 24th overall from the 6th round.
I predict Malcolm Rodriguez will be a Pro Bowl special teamer.
But I mean, when he was drafted, when Malcolm Rodriguez was drafted, it was just about him being a special teamer. But he overplayed that. He completely overplayed that.
He earned it in the offseason.
And he earned it. But Jack Campbell is a different beast. We haven't seen a linebacker like this in Detroit. I mean, maybe in Chicago, they've had some pretty good linebackers in Chicago, but this guy is going to be one of them. You guys breed him.
What's going to end up happening with Malcolm Rodriguez is they're going to switch him to outside in those packages for blitzing because he's real good at blitzing. He's real good at stopping the run. What he's not good at is coverage.
It's open.
But he has great lateral quickness, Jeremy. He's great sideline to sideline.
Yeah, but Jack Campbell actually is great sideline to sideline and had the best coverage grade of any linebacker coming out in college.
Right.
Well, and the other thing though, too, though, is you can.
It's just not. I mean, it's apples and oranges between Malcolm and Jack Campbell from just a talent and just overall elite athlete perspective. Jack Campbell's on a different level.
Well, and the other thing you can do though, now you've got some things you can do with Rodriguez. You can spell Campbell. You can flip him into other situations. I mean, look, it's a good situation to be in. If our middle linebacker is a beast, why do we draft another? Because now I got one who's better at doing the things this one wasn't good at, and now I can do more mix and match, play around, shift around. It's going to give offensive coordinators fits because now you've got just more weapons to play with that I got to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm underselling Malcolm Rodriguez. I know he did an incredible job for us last year, but I feel like we want him to be the floor, right? Malcolm Rodriguez potential is not our ceiling.
Right.
So can I throw something out here, William? Now that we've had talks back and forth and I've responded to your comments in talking right here, I'm going to go ahead into the StreamYard right now, and you're going to get a link in there. Go ahead and come on the show.
He's stuck at work. He already said he's stuck at work.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, William. Okay, yep. I'm sorry. But I did throw that in there for anybody else. If you guys want to come on and talk some football, I do like this talk right here. And having Malcolm Rodriguez and drafting a linebacker doesn't mean that Malcolm Rodriguez is just going to go get thrown to the bench. It just means that we have depth. And that's a cool thing. I haven't been able to say that in Detroit in a long, long time. There's depth at our linebacker.
And in this division,
John Dorn with another bad.
He's a Packer fan, William. So he probably works at a curd stand in Oshkosh.
Yeah, I'm sorry, William. They corrected me. So.
I'm telling you, and in this division, the way this division is looking right now with the offenses, this is the shoot 'em up division, right? I mean,
it is now.
I don't think it's not black and blue anymore. It's shoot 'em up. It's like drive by shooting Chicago style. You know, we're gonna just drive by and shoot up your place with a bunch. I mean, that's what it's gonna be. We're gonna probably have a lot of high scoring games in our division because the defenses go from the bottom being Minnesota, and then somewhere between the next is the rest of the division because they all have some strong points and some weak points. I say the Lions might hold the edge overall, but I mean, honestly, none of our defenses are that stellar yet. It's going to be a shoot 'em up division.
Okay. I like it. So I want to jump back on the fantasy thing. Would everybody just give me a nod of the head? A-Dub, of course, you'll be last. Just nod the head if you would join a main event fantasy league.
Yep.
Okay, and
just to beat main event Mike every week.
A-Dub's a no because he doesn't play. That's right.
That's right.
Okay, so we're almost there. We get Bill the Packer fan in, maybe a couple more. Maybe we get Jamez from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh,
so actually,
it'll be a fun league, man. The name
Talk to Mike because we've got one.
The name of Russ's team is Turn Your Head and Golf.
Turn your head.
So we have a league right now, which is me, Mike the Bear fan, Bill the Packer fan. Actually, we got everyone but you two. So talk to main event, Mike. So we've got a league already with most of the players you're looking at.
Mike the Bear fan? I could talk to main event Mike, but he's a dick.
Yeah. Well, you talk to yourself all the time, but no, talk to Mike the Bear fan because we've got like Rob's in the league because I beat him all the time.
Rob
I think
Haskell, we'll kick him out.
Yeah.
We're going to
do a two-man
Make room for me.
We're going to do a two-man sack race to see who can get into the main event in fantasy football league. Like, this ain't just...
I got screwed in it.
We ain't just joining the league and calling it the main event league.
I know. I got screwed. I got screwed in the championship game last year because I had in the championship game, and Mike will tell you, the championship game was the game that got canceled. Where the Bills Cincinnati game got canceled. The only reason why Bill the Packer fan won.
Are you crying right now? Are you
I'm just stating facts.
Of course, Bill the Packer fan won.
It did change some fantasy up from it's never happened before ever, and that actually
okay.
I lost my quarterback. I lost.
So you accept Ken Dobie's crying?
Yep.
Okay.
He said, "Yeah, it's a fellow Packer fan. Of course he would. If it was one of us, he'd be like, fuck you."
Well, no. I look at you. I lost my quarterback, my defense.
Really effective.
Yeah. It was a huge effort.
Introduce my friend here. Tim the Toolman Tyler is in my Lions den right now, and I wanted him to pop in and say hello. Right,
Tim the Toolman.
Tim helped me put this whole room together, and he's a lifelong personal friend of mine and a Lions fan. He's one of the smart ones. But I wanted to put a shot. Look at that.
Look at that. Got tattoo. Oh,
yeah,
that's real.
That's for real.
That's the old bubbles, ain't it?
Being one of the smart ones.
No, he did not put that on with water and in a warm washcloth.
Well, it looks like we're up against it. I want to thank all of the panelists for joining us here on the NFC North Open Mic. Be sure to share our content. We are live every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Share. There's also a Patreon link down below. Follow us on our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. For the Maestro Russell Wayne and this entire panel, I'm Main Event Mike saying God bless each and every one of you. Peace out, people.
One pride.
Peace, love, and chicken grease.
Bear down.
And go.